call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Tri-Creek School Corporation of students, staff, and community endeavors to be a recognized leader for high achievement and exceptional growth. Innovative and equitable approaches build upon strong community pride and provide all students with well-rounded educational experiences to prepare for future successes.
Engaged to learn.
Equipped to achieve.
Empowered to succeed.
Are there any agenda additions or deletions? Okay. Superintendent report.
I have one item tonight, and I'm going to defer that to the Skillman Corporation.
Thank you, Superintendent Anderson. Chris Wojcicki with the Skillman Corporation here to give you your monthly update. I do have 3 reports, but 2 I can share immediately if anyone would want one. Okay. Jay, you'll take care of the clicker? Thank you. All right, so monthly update. We are going to be progressing from east to west. From an aerial view, first is the high school. We have a few key plans here. I'd like to touch a little bit on the North Star building, the new administration center, and the community building. So with the nice weather that we've had, sunshine, breezy temperatures, get the soil to dry out pretty nice. We're in the process of cutting and filling the property. Happy to say that the football field is cut to grade, and if you click one over, Jay, you will see perimeter curbing is in on the football field, and we also have CMU, as we call it, concrete masonry units at the North Star. So we're progressing nicely at the football fields. Also for the admin here at the high school, I should say, metal studs and drywall, and insulation, and getting areas ready to start pouring concrete slabs on the outside, which is your radius area here at the bottom of the screen, and start with vertical construction in that area as well. Moving over to the middle school, our first area of focus is Unit D, as we call it. It's the new admin for that property. It's the aqua color. And it's vague there to see the color, but we are anticipating to turn that over to you folks in April. So finishes are going on right now, flooring, wall tile, bathroom tile, painting, things of that nature. We do have some more overhead work to continue. As you can see at that bottom photo, which for the MEPs, as we call it, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, ductwork, piping, hydronics, insulation, things of that nature. Finally, Lake Prairie. So here you can see the 6 classroom addition, wrapping up to the north and east. We do have a few conference rooms and meeting rooms in there with a gang of restrooms in there. The roof is ongoing. We have a great crew, 7 to 8 roofers a day, and again, utilizing the nice weather. So we're pleased that shingles will start here pretty soon. Exterior masonry is going real well. We do have provisions for interior blocking, I should say temp enclosures. We're heating the inside, so we're not, the winter's not stopping us, I should say. Again, overhead mechanicals, electrical, plumbing at this facility as well, and glazing is coming here, glazing meaning windows, here in about 2-3 weeks. So on schedule for that one to have it opened up for the start of school, and your equipment should start arriving here in May, June-ish. So with that, at the very bottom here, Jay, if you can click the slide. What we do monthly is do aerials. So we also do these aerials for, we do them for 2 reasons. 1, to show you folks, and 2, we help the contractors along with saying, hey, you need to be at this section in this area by such and such date. So It's a good historical log for us that we found out is beneficial. At progress meetings, we could point out quality control type items, areas that we're lacking in, areas that we need to repair with soils, as you can see here. So, and I have shared it with you folks. Feel free to pass it along to staff, to whoever, and it's a neat little tool. Yeah, I do have one for Lake Prairie. While Jay's clicking on that, any questions for the past 3 projects I just spoke about and the aerials here?
Are there any issues getting supplies, materials?
Mechanical equipment is still a little bit of a challenge. We're past the roofing product, TPO, EPDM, and we're also past the structural scale. So it's still in the electrical switchgear realm and mechanical. Yeah, but submittals are coming through real well with Gibraltar, so we're getting past that. So here again, here's Lake Prairie. Here's an aerial. It's just a great tool to help the contractors along. Same with us, with areas that we see are lacking. We can point them out, get manpower there, and get back on schedule. So,
Is Scott flying the zone, the drone?
Who's that?
Is
No,
Scott?
we leave that to the young kids with their technology and stuff. So, we have three individuals in house that are licensed, and
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So, any further questions?
I'll take one of those packets you had for us.
Just give you all 3.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Moving on to the opportunity for public comment related to agenda items. We have 3 that signed in. The first is Ryan Skinner.
Hello, my name is Ryan Skinner, and I work in Student Services Office at LHS. I'm an at-will employee who is speaking for a group of 10 staff members employed at the high school on behalf of Angela Patrick and the LHS staff administration team. Most prefer to remain anonymous because we are not protected employees and because nobody understands why a competent leader has to fight for her job. We all fear for retaliation. As you can see in the document being presented to the board, there are 10 of us that feel the same way and have signed the document as anonymous. This may defeat the purpose of signing, but we want you to know that we want to loudly support our building administrators, but we feel as though we cannot. In addition to the 40-plus individuals that have signed or spoken in support of Angela Patrick and the LHS administrative team, please take this as another testimony to the quality of her work as a leader. 10 people who by definition support teachers and students are telling you that if you vote against a future of having Angela Patrick as a leader, you are not doing what is best for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lara, sorry if I get this wrong, Lara Coleman.
I should be right around 3 minutes. Good evening. I'm here today to speak to you about the consideration of non-renewal of Ms. Patrick's contract. I have a child currently at the high school and one that was there for 4 years. He graduated this last June. I personally had interactions with Ms. Patrick. I know how much she cares for our values and respects, has the best interests for our students. She loves this school. She has created and nurtured a wonderful environment for these students. It is easy to feel invisible and struggle at this time in life. Ms. Patrick and her leadership team make sure this is not the case for their students. I know this firsthand. My son who graduated was directly impacted by Ms. Patrick and her leadership and will remember that for the rest of his life. These students have an impact on our community, and I think we can all agree that we want them to have a positive and productive impact. I know I want a leader in our high school that is going to train up these students in the way they should go, to work hard, be respectful, and love their community. That's exactly what Ms. Patrick does. She lives and works in this community and cares so much about it. My child who recently graduated ran into Ms. Patrick at the store a couple months ago. She stopped to talk to him. She noticed him and stopped what she was doing. This actually doesn't surprise me. This sounds like Ms. Patrick. She stops to notice our children. She interacts with them. She knows them by name and truly cares for them. That is a leader we can all be proud of, and she's irreplaceable. We do not know exactly what is being said, the notes being passed, or what the private talks are about. There are some assumptions that can be made. There may be a couple people who are not happy with Ms. Patrick's leadership, or maybe some decisions she's had to make. She's not being removed right now, just consideration of not renewing her contract. She would be offered a teaching position. This leads to another assumption. It's not anything horrible. I assume this because that's my only option, that there are a handful of staff members not happy. This is really normal. Not everyone is going to be 100% happy all of the time. Not all personalities are going to mesh and agree, but that does not mean a good, strong leader should be removed because of this. That is not the way the world works. We come up with solutions, problem equals solution, not removing a great leader. I honestly think that if anyone has an issue, it can be resolved, and that should be the route taken. If not, the door is open for them to leave and try and find a place they feel a better fit for. The majority opinion on what should happen here is overwhelmingly evident. Ms. Patrick is a great leader, should remain in her position as Lowell High School principal. If she doesn't, there will be a huge falling away of teachers and staff who will not stay, then what? We are already having a hard time filling teaching positions now. A falling away of the culture that has been developed and nurtured at the high school. A falling away of trust and excitement from students who have expressed their support for Ms. Patrick, and viral posts on social media, signing of petitions, and just the talk in the halls. They want her to stay. They are scared of what the school will look like without her, and then a falling away of community trust and confidence in this board. You have voted yes to giving consideration of the non-renewal of Ms. Patrick's contract. I'm asking you to give serious consideration to the consequences and deep impact that it will have on the staff, students, parents, and our community if you vote to, in fact, not renew her contract. I trust that you will consider this. You have been voted in to make decisions that are best for our schools and this community. You were chosen to make these calls and also to listen to and consider the wishes of the people who voted you into the very seat you sit in right now. The decision is clear. The community has spoken overwhelmingly in favor of Ms. Patrick and keeping her as principal of Lowell High School. Now it is up to you to do the right thing and renew her contract. Thank you.
Stephanie Sons.
Good evening. I'm coming today as a community member, but also as the therapist through Crown Counseling that works at the Tri-Creek Schools. I've had the honor and privilege of working with the schools for the past few years, and I would like to just recognize that during the time that I have been at the high school, I have just experienced an overwhelming amount of communication, support, and collaboration, and I truly believe it is at the hands of Angela Patrick and the leadership and the culture that she has cultivated there in that building. With that being said, also I have 4 daughters that are in the school district, and I felt a comfort knowing that they would be joining the high school one day under her administration. So I hope that the board will hear the voices of us in this community and renew her contract.
Okay, board member reports. Does anybody have any?
I don't have anything.
Nothing? Regular consent items. Approve the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, February 8th, 2024. Do I have a
I'll make a
motion?
motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, vote, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Business operations. Approve the overnight study trip for Lowell High School students to attend the Skills USA State Leadership Conference at the Indiana State Fairgrounds from April 19th to April 20th, 2024.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Consent items. These are all donations. I'll read them all together. Accept the donation from Kathleen Fenner of Lowell, Indiana in the amount of $125 to help fund the Feed Them Forward Fund to pay down negative student meal balances. Accept the donation from Gary Pike of Lowell, Indiana in the amount of $20 to help fund the Feed Them Forward Fund to pay down negative student meal balances. Accept the donation from Eric Alexander of Lowell, Indiana in the amount of $20.80 from the Costco Workplace Giving Campaign to be used for any needs at Lowell Middle School. Accept the anonymous donation in the amount of $20 to help fund the Feed Them Forward Fund to pay down negative student meal balances.
I'll make a motion to accept the 4 consent items.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to personnel. Approve the personnel report dated Thursday, February 20th, 2024.
I'll make the motion to approve the personnel report.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next 2 items we will vote by show of hand. Approve administrative contract renewal notices. Approve renewing the following administrative contracts for the 2024-2025 school year, with the terms and conditions remaining status quo unless there is a mutual agreement for changes. Those contracts are Shannon Mizarek, Kyle Bisich, Elizabeth Slough, Patty McCormick, Tim Summers, Teresa Cruzin, Gina Milcarrick, Lisa Stoll, Brandy Muha, Jonathan Naniga, and John Becker.
I'll make a motion to approve the administrative contract renewals.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Or, I'm sorry, is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes. Okay, approve I'm sorry. The next item. As the board is aware, we served preliminary notice to Angela Patrick in January that her administrative contract is being considered for non-renewal. When it expires at the end of the school year, do I have a motion to bring to vote non-renewal of Angela Patrick's administrative contract for the reasons stated in the board's preliminary notice to Mrs. Patrick?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. We now have opportunity for discussion.
I'd like to discuss. The playout of this non-renewal process has been very he said, she said. And while I believe each person stands behind their version of events leading to this point, and I can agree there are areas of improvement I can see necessary from both sides, I think as a board, we would be remiss to not also take into account the numerous community members and past students, nearly 200 current students, and 40-plus high school teachers and staff that have spoken in favor of renewing the administration contract for Mrs. Patrick. Many of those teachers and staff members expressing sincerity in leaving our district should the school board vote to non-renew. This being the start of my 4th year on the board, we have talked a lot about culture and climate in our district, how much we need to make improvements in the transparency of the board and the central office and board relations with teachers, staff, and administrators in our district regarding trust, respect, and value. If we vote to non-renew, what does that say to over half the high school staff, along with the rest of the staff? If we don't truly consider what they are bringing to us and begging us to do, it says we don't respect and value you as a teacher in our district, and we are open. My son included, my daughter, and my other son. The very students that we preach we will always put first. When I asked about how we would handle it if all the teachers left, I was told, and I quote, it could be a rough few years. As a board, are we willing to let the kids who only have a few years left in this district have a rough few years? What kind of education do those students get if we have open positions filled by long-term subs? I can tell you, as my son has one right now, it's not great. Our vision says innovative and equitable approaches. What is fair and just and right in this decision? I would like to see if there is a way to let the teachers, staff, and students know we value and respect your opinions and wants, as well as address the concerns brought forth by this non-renewal.
And if that could look like a one-year renewal of the contract with clear directives and the help of better communication and relations between the parties involved, I feel like that is the way we should go. Thank you.
Okay, we need to run the meeting. Thank you. We have to run the meeting. I appreciate it. The assertion that consideration hasn't been taken for the people in this room, the people in the high school, the people in this district, I have a big problem with.
I'm not saying that, I'm saying it needs to be. I will let you complete.
Thank you. I have something also written to say, but I'm going to go back to that. Nobody's denying that this has been a difficult process.
For sure.
There has been a lot at my home, in my house, of thought and time and consideration and research put into this. I know that that's been the same in many homes in this room tonight. But the door was wide open, and there was one person that held all of the opportunity. And I wonder why it wasn't taken. You need to stay quiet while we carry our meeting.
Be removed. Stop.
Also be removed from my job as the English department.
Lindsay, we're running a meeting.
I understand that.
Okay, so stop interrupting.
Stop.
I blame on a person that you're not allowed to speak.
It's time to go.
Bye.
We have to consider that there are more than one side to this. We know that this is very divisive. We have to consider that. And so by forcing of that, it's okay to come speak positively to somebody, and it's welcomed to do that. But to forget that there's a whole nother side to this isn't okay. There are a lot of concerns that were brought. And in my opinion, this whole thing the opportunity was there to fix it. I was dying for it to get fixed.
For her to just resign? And
No.
No.
Not at all.
Take the steps forward.
Especially after hearing these things that were said.
For the proof that was given to us when we were in the meetings over the he said, she said.
The proof?
Yeah, the proof. It was clearly he said, she said. Clearly he said, she said.
It was excuses.
Ask the witnesses.
It was somebody else's problem.
That's.
May I ask?
No.
It was clearly he said. It was clearly he said, she said. With little to no proof on either side, other than this was my experience, this was my experience. I guarantee, I truly believe that they each believe their version of events. What's the old adage? There's three sides to every story. I truly believe that. I think each of them believe their version of events and how it played out. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I think, how can you only place your vote on those two things and not what's being said?
Well, we each get the opportunity to have our vote.
Absolutely.
It isn't one person.
And we've seen the same pattern. So at a certain point.
Deborah, if you remember the very first night, I came in, I interviewed Mrs. Patrick, and I had a positive experience during that time. We both did. I walked out of her, I never had any interaction with her personally, and I walked out with positive things, and I relayed that to the superintendent. The superintendent conveyed to me all the things that he experienced in his time working with Mrs. Patrick. I have not experienced that. I am a person of honor and integrity. And I listened to what they said on the first meeting, and I stood up and said, I cannot support the superintendent when I hear all that going on out there, all that support. And I truly believe that was the end of it at that time. But then, the following day, I started getting bombarded with phone calls, emails from people that I've worked with for years and years. that are no longer working here that have said the reason for them departing this is not money, it's because of the caustic environment at the high school. There are the inner circle, and there are those that are on the outside. For those on the inside, I'm assuming that the majority of them are here tonight. I also had phone calls from people I didn't even know, young teachers that came from another district to work here, and because of the caustic environment, the way they said it, 3 or 4 months into their experience here, they left and went back to where they were. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people, I'm talking a lot of people.
Okay, you have just heard a lot more say they're gonna leave now. I have a kid in high school. I'm not willing to let that happen.
There's no guarantee any one of us
I
can.
want to address the crowd for a moment. We have had countless opportunities and listened very intently to everything you have brought to the table. We have made sure to not carry on this discussion behind closed doors, and you are now receiving the opportunity to see it take place. It doesn't always have to go that way. So please respect our opportunity for this process.
I'm not willing to let my kid, who is suffering in a biology class right now because he's had a long-term sub for nearly 2 months, have long-term slubs the rest of his high school career, potentially. Because let's be honest, the referendum didn't pass, which means we don't have the money that all the other districts in our area have to offer to these people. Realistically, though, I can look at your faces and know how this vote's gonna go, so obviously, I'm wasting my breath here, and we can take the vote.
I have a statement that I'm going to read. It repeats some of what I've already said, but I want to make sure that it is said clearly. When this process began, there were concerns within the board and administration regarding the leadership of Angela Patrick. We took the necessary steps to formally address these concerns, which primarily was to allow Ms. Patrick the opportunity to put our concerns to rest, and I truly mean that. Unfortunately, in my opinion, this process did not resolve my concerns, and in actuality, it highlighted them. This was not the first or only opportunity for Ms. Patrick to quell any concerns that had been shared with her either. Those opportunities, however, were ignored and excuses were made for lack of action on her part. This process was for Angela to prove she could address our concerns, not for anyone else to prove it on her behalf. Although I know that the voices that were shared were appreciated. I understand that recently a lot of uncertainty has been held by our staff. This uncertainty goes both ways in regards to fear of retribution. I want to be clear. This board, this administration, we always encourage and welcome positive comments about our staff. This scenario is no different. I believe courage, humility, and vulnerability were shown by all of those who chose to speak up by letter or by speech. Unfortunately, this has obviously led to division. No matter the outcome of tonight, retribution will not be tolerated by anyone involved in this matter. And anyone that told you otherwise throughout this process, I would question their integrity. Is there any other comments to be made?
I'd like to make one more because I want it to be clear. Everyone on this board told me that you have a problem with my friendship with Angela, but everything that I said tonight had all to do with my 3 kids in this district and why I ran for this position on the board, and none of it had to do with my friendship for her.
And I made that very clear to you, that I believed you were here for the right reasons when we talked, and I still believe that.
Just making sure that it's crystal clear.
We will now vote on the non-renewal of Angela Patrick's administrative contract. We will vote by hand. Those of you in favor of the non-renewal, please raise your hand. Those opposed to the non-renewal, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-1.
I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy. hope it happens.
That's enough.
She's never been disciplined once. She's not even on the
Please
improvement
have a
plan.
seat.
She's never been on the improvement plan. She's never been disciplined.
Mr. Patrick,
Nothing.
please have a seat.
Yeah, what?
This is not the
Then take me
time.
out of cuffs. This is not right, Andy. You are not. You are so
That's
wrong.
enough.
I'm not your kid. Stop talking like I'm a kid.
Then stop behaving in this manner. We will move on. There is an opportunity for public comment related to non-agenda items. I have no interest. The next meeting of the Tri-Creek School Board of Trustees is scheduled for Thursday, March 14th. This meeting is adjourned.